This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Last week was our first playoff game, and my plaque psoriasis was so itchy under all my gear. Sometimes just thinking about scratching could take me out of the moment. And then my doctor told me I could get clearer skin with a pill called Otezla.
Otezla apremilast is a prescription medicine used to treat adult patients with plaque psoriasis for whom phototherapy or systemic therapy is appropriate. Otezla can help you get clearer skin after just 4 months.
Okay, ready for the next game. Talking to my doctor about a pill was a total game changer.
Don't use Otezla if you're allergic to it. Get medical help right away if you have trouble breathing or swallowing, swelling of the face, lips, tongue, throat, or arms. Severe diarrhea, nausea or vomiting, depression, suicidal thoughts, or weight loss can happen. Tell your doctor if any of these occur and if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts. Live in the moment. Ask your doctor about Otezla. Call 1-844-4-OTEZLA or visit Otezla.com for prescribing info about cost, and more.
Look around. You can find cars like these on AutoTrader, like that car riding your tail. Or if you're tailgating right now, all those cars doubling as kitchens and living rooms are on AutoTrader too. Are you working out and listening to this ad at the same time? Well, multitasking pro, cars like the ones in the gym parking lot are for sale on AutoTrader. New cars, used cars, electric cars, maybe even flying cars. Okay, no flying cars, but as soon as they get invented, they'll be on AutoTrader. Just you wait. AutoTrader.
Acura's all-new ADX, a compact SUV that isn't just built for one thing. It's precision-crafted for everything. To escape the grind with available all-wheel drive. To go with your flow with available Google built-in.
Hey Google, turn it up.
Okay, turning up the volume. And crafted to be heard with an available Bang & Olufsen premium sound system. The all-new Acura ADX, crafted to match your energy. Acura, precision-crafted performance.
Take your vibes and go, 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 go.
Google is a trademark of Google LLC.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Skating Penguin Network. It is Robbie here again in Western Pennsylvania. It is the evening of April 17th, 2025, and the Pittsburgh Penguins just wrapped up game number 82 of their season. That means the 2024-25 season has come to a close. We will talk about this game in a little bit, but Snail, 190 days ago, we were here talking about game one, we'll call it a lackluster effort from the Penguins against the Rangers in that abysmal opening night. But now 6 months later, the season has now come to an end. And I don't know about you, but it felt like we blinked and it was gone.
Yeah, it did go oddly quick. It felt like, I feel like that Four Nations face-off, I don't see how they go back. Well, that's a conversation for another pod. I don't see how they ever go back to an all-star game after that experience. But I feel like with there was the first part of the season, and then there was that tournament, and then it kind of having almost like two trade deadlines this year, the couple of roster freezes. I don't know. For some reason, it just felt like the year was divvied up like really well as a viewer. The Penguins, as a Penguins fan and a Penguins fan, and as two people esteemed members of the media, Robbie, we covered we talked about every game essentially, within reason. And I think one thing that attributed it to being so like quick seeming is because it was a complete roller coaster. You had a few games that were just absolute like red alert soilage of the Penguins, where the Rangers game, we'll never forget the Dallas game.
Yeah.
There was a couple other ones you throw in there. And then you had, the saga of Tristan Jarry letting in the first shot of the game. And then you had games where they were absolutely just torching teams, and they looked like almost like an all-star team out there, the way that they were able to score and zip the puck around. It was so many ups and downs. It kind of carried you through the season. And here we are, game 82. The Penguins well out of it. We were just talking before we hopped on. They had 34. They were 34 and 36 essentially, and then that. What is that? The tiebreaker 12 or not?
Yeah,
tiebreaker,
12 losses in overtime.
Overtime losses. Yeah. Tiebreaker. 12 overtime losses. So essentially, just extra points there at the end. Man, this is like. Oddly, after all is said and done, we kind of thought this is where they'd be, like at the end of the year. Back before the Rangers game, this is kind of where we thought they'd end up being.
Yeah, I thought they might be a little closer to a playoff spot. I mean, it did not obviously.
I think Buffalo jumped us today, didn't
No, they ended up staying above Buffalo because they beat the Penguins.
Oh, because they won the Cap.
Yeah, the Penguins have the ninth best odds coming up for the lottery, so they'll pick somewhere between I don't know exactly how the formula works, but they first, second, or ninth or something like that are the options. Not sure exactly, but they do finish with the ninth. They finish 23rd overall, basically, in the NHL.
Is there any way they could pick first overall? Is there any sort of actual lottery ball, like, or is it all formulated with like numbers somehow? Is there any way that they could draw a first overall pick?
Yeah, I don't know. It's the odds are very low, but yeah, they do have a shot at the first overall pick, and a shot at the second overall pick, I believe. And then if not, I think they slot into ninth place. So it's pretty much that, maybe 10th, depending on how it all works out. I don't know the exact formula, but yeah, there are odds that they could pick number one. It just it's a little bit, we'll call a little bit of a long shot.
Yeah, figured, but I was actually just going to try to see what team had the best record that's picked first overall.
Oh geez, yeah, that would be something to look up. It's tough to say how far somebody's ever jumped from their spot to the first overall pick. It doesn't have the last 2 years. I think the Penguins were 14th best odds, and they never they only had like a half a percentage chance, half a percentage point. It's something minuscule once you get that low.
Yeah. Because I know that there's been years where there were teams that were abysmal. Like I think Detroit had a legit gripe one year where they had the worst record, and I think they ended up picking like third overall or something like that, or fourth overall. They ended up picking
they picked
is it that big German on the back end?
Cider. Yeah, they had 2 or 3 years where they should have been picking top two, and I don't think they picked top two at all. I think they picked
never did.
Third and then fourth or something like that. Obviously, the most famous one was Buffalo tanking for McDavid and then being jumped by Edmonton for the first overall pick that draft.
That has to make you sick.
I mean, that can't be. I mean, that still has to be one of those things for the Sabres that just drives them absolutely crazy that happened. But yeah, so. And another team to watch out for in all this was the New York Rangers finished 11th from the bottom, meaning that they will have to make a decision once it's confirmed they have a top 13 pick, whether or not to hand that pick over to the Pittsburgh Penguins. That is a protected pick, but I believe the Rangers do have the final decision if they want to swap it over or push it to next year. So we don't really
tough, man, because do they look like they're going to be better next year?
My hope is their belief is they think that this is going to be a one-off. They're going to be like, oh, we'll take the top 15 pick, and they hold on to it. And then next year they're obviously dreadful again. And the Penguins just have a second lottery ball in there, assuming the Penguins don't make the playoffs again.
Penguins make the playoffs next year, and then they can trade their first round pick because they get a top 5 pick. That's the Rangers because they stink. That would be sweet. That would be very funny. That'd be like Hale McCarr draft, with the pick from I think it was Ottawa
Yeah, I think it was Ottawa.
Didn't they swing something and they got like a pick from Ottawa that was unprotected and ended up being Cale Makar?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I can't remember exactly how it played out, but it was definitely Ottawa. Ottawa did something. They had a couple big trades where they swung for the fence, and it didn't work out, obviously, and it cost them a bunch of picks.
Is the pick top 10 protected next year?
No, and if it's not,
what if we get Gavin McKenna that way?
That's what I mean. Like if they don't give the Penguins the pick this year, like next year it goes to Pittsburgh, no matter what. It doesn't matter where it's at. If it's bottom 3 or top 3, it does not matter. There can be no protections on it.
Who's the owner of that team? Of the Rangers over there? What's that lunatic's name?
James Dolan.
If the Rangers ended up being like Blackhawks bad next year and they take the first round pick this season, do you think that guy would need to like throw his trousers in like a garbage can? Like if he saw the lottery balls drop?
I mean, I don't know how much James Dolan actually pays attention to the Rangers. So he's more of a Knicks guy.
Yeah, he's an NBA guy.
Yeah, so I think he might just own the Rangers for fun.
Whose trousers would need to be burned in a garbage can?
Probably Chris Jury's.
Yeah, Chris Jury. Maybe like Shesterkin.
Yeah, Shesterkin might just like leave.
Yeah,
he just might show up for another team in training camp. Not even trade him, just show up for another team.
Ends up in Tampa somehow.
Yeah, great. But there was a hockey game tonight too for the Penguins. This was the final night of the regular season. All playoff spots had been locked down at this point. We'll talk about more at the playoffs in a little bit. But the Penguins did have game 82 tonight against the Washington Capitals. Surprisingly, Alex Ovechkin was in goal tonight, or not in goal.
Wouldn't that just be
on the did play tonight? Was not expecting that at all.
I wasn't either, man.
I know he was on the ice for the morning skate, but I mean, I thought he could have just been out there, getting a workout in before the playoff, just to kind of stay fresh and stuff. But Alex Ovechkin did play tonight. The Penguins played their normal lineup. Alex Nedeljkovic in goal against somebody named Clay Stevenson. Neither of the two Capitals goalies, there's Charlie Lindgren or Logan Thompson played. So I think one of them may have been a backup, but Stevenson's arm probably would have had to fall off for either for whoever the backup was to get in the game tonight. But
yeah, Lindgren was backing up.
Okay, yeah. So it was Clay Stevenson. Unless he could have given up 100 goals tonight, and he probably wasn't coming out of that game. But as for the Penguins or this game, Connor McMichael gets the scoring started for the Capitals at 4:08. His 26th of the year. It's 1-0. But the Penguins answered right back, and for the first time since 2000, 2001, the Penguins have 3 30-goal scorers on the season. Brian Rust gets number 30, a number that has long eluded him in his career. He gets goal number 30 from Ville Koivunen. Koivunen we'll talk about a little more in depth. Great end of the season for him as well. But Rust gets number 30 to make it 1-1, and an incredible you could kind of see in his celebration that you knew what it meant to him.
Oh yeah,
he gets 30 for the first time. A great moment for Rusty, who definitely earned that. A career highs across the board for Brian Rust. Incredible season, and he missed a chunk of games too. He wasn't healthy the whole season. He missed probably about 10 games earlier in the year, and he goes out there and puts up those kind of numbers. So really great from that. It's 1-1 after the first period. Second period comes around. It stays 1-1 until 7:19 in the first. And Brian Rust figures just kind of keeps setting that career mark a little bit higher. He gets number 31 in the power play. Crosby gets assist number 58. Ville Koivunen, his seventh assist since being called up here. He has a 7-game point streak a 6-game point streak to end this season here. But Sidney Crosby gets to point number 90 with this assist, so he has another 90-point season.
Dude, 30 goals, 99 or 33 goals, 90 points at 37 years old.
Yeah,
come on, is he 37?
He is third. Yes, he's 36. He'll be 38. No, he's 37 now.
He's gonna be 38 next year.
Yeah,
dude, what?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess because he came in at 18, right? And then this is 20 seasons, so.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. So Crosby gets point number 90. And then at 11:56, Crosby gets point number 91 and goal 33. Phil Tomasino gets the assist. Connor Dewar gets in the box score one more time before this season comes to an end. So it's 3-1 here, Penguins. And hey, Crosby scores and Ovechkin answers about 5 minutes later. Goal number 44 on the season for Ovechkin, 897 overall. So that's where he will end this season, his record-breaking season. He needs 3 more for 900, which it probably will not take him long come October to topple that number. But he makes it 3-2 after 2 periods of play. And then in the third, the Penguins put away any doubt in this one. Danton Heinen gets his 9th of the season to make it 4-2. And then just 15 seconds.
Goal by Heinen.
Yeah. I thought Heinen's played pretty good since coming over in the Marcus Pettersson trade. Overall, I thought he's played very well. He is under contract for next year, so it'll be interesting to see what the Penguins do there. I wouldn't
mind him on a 4th line.
Yeah, I think he could very well be back next season without any question. But then after that, Phil Tomasino, who'd been kind of banged up here in the second half of the season, finishes with a really strong performance in this game. He had the assist on Crosby's goal, and he gets the assist on or he scores the Penguins, what turned out to be the Penguins' final goal of the season.
Nasty goal.
Nasty little goal.
Long curl and drag snipe. That's what the kids are all doing these days. My cousin's kids, they're playing like mini sticks and they're always like toe drag release. And I'm just like, they're not even into the Michigan anymore. They're like, they like that Connor Bedard curl and drag, like big dramatic toe drag release top cheese. Awesome, dude. That's the potential. I mean, after seeing that goal, and I think he was on the 4th line not that long ago. You wonder, like, dude, was it almost like a Raquel situation? Was he like pretty hurt maybe for like a good chunk of the end of the season there?
Tomasino?
Yeah,
I think he was definitely beat up toward the end of the season. I think he did miss a little bit of time, but yeah, Phil Tomasino definitely was beat up. But I mean, overall, a great pickup for the Penguins there. Hopefully next year he can build on that and stay healthier and add on to these some of these totals because 11 goals, nothing to really bat an eye at from that. But I think he's a guy that with the right scoring, the right line mates, could be a very productive top 6, middle 6 forward in the NHL, and hopefully that means it's with the Penguins as well. But
11 goals, all with the Penguins, right?
I believe so. Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. Well, good. He's a great pickup, man. Like, I don't know where you slot him in the lineup though, because if you're keeping Raquel, which I think the Penguins should hang on to Raquel, barring just an absolute slobber knocker of a deal from another team, like a knee-jerk reaction overpayment, I'd probably say smell you later. Dude, if people forget, Phil Kessel was a 3rd liner in Pittsburgh for a very long time.
Yeah.
Like, he was probably the best 3rd liner production-wise ever in Pittsburgh. I mean, he played up on the 2nd line a lot, never touched Sid's line, but Tomasino is like a playmaking, like, kind of creative scoring winger on a 3rd line if you got him with the right guys. Like, I really like that, and he can always play up.
Kind of a water bug type player.
Dude, I hate when people do this, but I'm going to do it. He's kind of like he's not really a north-south guy. He's kind of an east-west. He's very creative.
Yeah.
That assist that he gave to Sid kind of reminded me of Marner, kind of a Marner, Mitch Marner-esque pass, kind of finding some open space there.
Yeah.
Kind of by the dots and then finding Sid. Like, that's what he's done all season. He's able to kind of slow the game down a little bit and kind of water bug, find space, kind of dance around. He's not really like a showman. He's not dangling or anything. He's just he can kind of stick handle in a phone booth, and he's kind of a good distributor. So I've been happy with this Tomasino move. And was that the one? Did they give up? Did they give up essentially nothing for Tomasino?
Yeah, it was basically either a
future considerations
or like a 7th round pick or something like that. I can't remember the exact details of that, but he comes over. He scores 11 goals. I forget what he had, 13 assists, so he ended with 24 points. Come here at the end of the season. That's with being injured for a little bit. Yeah. But hopefully, I mean, he keeps working. He gets back on this team next year and gets a full season here in Pittsburgh. I'd love to see what he can do. And again, he scores the Penguins' final goal of the season. Rickard Rakell gets his 35th assist of the season, giving him 70 points total, which Snail, I think that had to be right around what you predicted points-wise total for the season. He finishes 35 and 35. So he's at 70 points, dead even.
God, in my office that's all packed up right now, I have the piece of paper that I said. I think I said something like he was going to be like a 31 and 30, like, or something like that.
It was something like that. So, I mean, that point was actually set a career high as well. He was at he had a career high back in 2018 of 69 nice points, but he gets 70 tonight, so he surpasses his previous career high there. And the other point on this goes to Matt Grzelcyk. He has 39 assists this year to go with his goal. He had 40 points this season. Matt Grzelcyk did. By far and away, his career high. He had his previous career high coming into the season was 26 points, and he blew that all. Yeah, he blew that completely out of the water.
Because he was on that Boston team that set a record.
Yeah, but he had 26 points that year in 75 games. But this year he had 40 points in 82 games. He played every game too. My question is there any way we can make him a 4th-line winger and just let him play the point on the power play, and then he's just a 4th-line winger the rest of the time? Because it seems like he's okay in the power play, but if you ask him to play defense, it can get ugly pretty quick.
Well, how many defensemen on this team are? I think you could put your hand up for 2 or 3 of the Penguins defensemen. You just wonder, why are you not a winger?
Yeah, that's completely fair.
So I was going back to Rickard Rakell quickly. So he had that was then 2017-18. He had 69 points. They were a playoff team that year where he played. Let's see. That year he ended up playing only 4 playoff. Did they get swept or something? He played 4 games in the playoffs. He broke his career high on a team that was pretty much out of the playoffs. You know, not mathematically, but this team was not making the playoffs like 2 months ago.
No, yeah, he was. He had a career high, but again, he had a great season. I mean, just straight up a great season for Rakell. And a part of me wishes this wouldn't have all gone to waste for these guys.
Jesus, I know.
Because, like, I mean, there's no guarantee you ever get a season like that again from Rakell and Russ, but playing with Crosby, I mean, Crosby's just going to go out there and score 90 points every year, and it's going to be just routine. Like, it's nothing. Just write it down before the season. Crosby finishing somewhere between 90 and 95 points, and that's that. And hopefully, like, again, next year, Rakell and Rust are back again, and they continue building off this because, again, it's one of the best first lines in hockey. I mean,
it really is.
It's not even really. I mean, it's not a garbage time kind of thing. Like, they're just doing this at the expense of something else. They're just they're just one of the best lines in hockey. That's all there really is to say about that. I mean, they've done it all year. They each score 30, at least 30. They each. Well, Crosby obviously doesn't set a career high because his career high is like 100 some plus points, but he has 50 goal seasons and all that fun jazz. But Rick Rakell and Russ going out there and having career years on a year where the Penguins were the worst they've been since Crosby came into the league. There's definitely pieces there to build from.
Absolutely, man.
I think the big thing is Ville Koivunen. Unfortunately, he has to wait until next season to get that first goal.
Oh, he was close, dude.
Yeah, he was close. He was very, very close a couple times, not just tonight. But he ends his rehearsal, his NHL rehearsal, with a 6-game point streak. 7 points in 8 games, I believe he has, or something like that.
Almost point per game.
Yeah, and you can see the vision. Like, you can tell this kid has it. Now it's going to be exciting to watch him get a full season. He's going to head back to Wilkes-Barre for the playoffs now, but him and McGroarty, very good first impressions. Obviously, nothing, no negatives really there. Obviously, it sucks that McGroarty got hurt, and it's too bad he couldn't finish out the season healthy and then head back to Wilkes-Barre. But Koivunen, there's a lot of, I don't want to, it's maybe he doesn't feel the pressure, but there's definitely going to be pressure because of the trade, who he was traded for. And hey, everything that we've seen so far, he's acquitted himself well. And I think it's going to be one of the things to watch this summer. Watch the AHL playoffs and then see how I'm assuming he will still be in the mix to get an invite to the prospect camp in July. So it'd be very interesting to watch him develop and what he looks like when he comes into camp in September.
He'll be a seasoned vet at that.
Yeah, he's going to be. I think it would take an injury to keep him off the opening night roster at this point.
Oh, obviously. He's on the opening night roster.
Yeah, I think him and McGroarty are pretty much there. And I don't really see any reason that any more development in the AHL is really going to do them any good. McGroarty looked like a completely new player from what we saw at the beginning of the season when he made the roster out of camp. But again, what we see out of some of these young guys here in the next couple of weeks could be important for what happens next season. A lot of names down there, but no, we'll see how things play out throughout the summer. But the takeaway from Koivunen and McGroarty is the future's bright with them two guys. Your first line is intact, assuming nobody comes to you with like some like out of this world offer for Rickard Rakell. He is, to me, he's back in Pittsburgh next year. And credit to Dubas for not just moving him at the deadline to move him at the deadline for no real reason. I'd like to know maybe sometime what some of the offers were that he received. If there ever was any kind of solid offer actually in place. You never know how much GMBS you get from some of these guys after the trade deadline. But I'd like to know what was offered because he said that it was going to have to take a big offer to move Rakell, and he stuck to his guns. So credit Dubas for that. I personally don't think anybody's going to – I think Rakell this after the trade deadline just kind of boosted his value even more. I think that he didn't play to a point where it was like, oh, man, maybe they should have moved him. Maybe he's never going to play like that again. I think he just, again, I'm assuming his value was already sky high, so he might not have improved it. He might have just kept it at that sky high value, which is fine. You're going to have to, if you want him, you're going to have to blow Kyle Dubas away. And if not, hey, the Penguins are entering next year with Crosby, Rakell, and Rust on the roster. At least you don't have to worry about doing anything on the first line. That's taken care of.
Oh yeah, they've got two solid first line right shot wingers. Rakell has just been pretty consistent his whole career. He had one outlier season that was last year, but he was injured. And then this year, he's only 31. It's not like he's 33, and there's like, I feel like this day and age, 33 is a little long in the tooth. I think Braden Shen's 33. some teams I think weren't really probably willing to give up a whole ton for a 33-year-old centerman. Raquel being a 31-year-old winger who just scored 70 points. If I'm telling you, someone's going to lose out in the first round this year, and there's going to be a knee-jerk reaction, and they're going to need scoring, and they're going to put their hand up for Raquel and say, we're a contender next year too. I don't know what there's a ton of teams that I could be referencing here. Someone might put their hand up and be like, we're not really worried about the future right now. I think Dubas at the deadline was asking for 2 first-round picks and their best prospect.
Yeah,
I think that's rumored what it was.
At the deadline, nobody was going to do that. It just no one was going to do that at the deadline. If you don't want to sell something and you put an outrageous offer on it, I mean, if they took it, you're going to be like, well, shit, I guess I'm going to do it. Yeah, that definitely sounds like one of those, we don't really want to trade them, but if somebody is crazy enough to offer that, we'll do it. But if that's truly what the value is set at, then that's something that no team's probably going to do at the deadline. The only thing is, like, he's not a rental, obviously. He is.
He's locked up for a few years.
Yeah, he's locked up for a few years at what's going to turn out to be basically a huge bargain contract once the salary cap goes up. Because this summer, you're going to see some stupid numbers, but actually aren't stupid. You're just kind of ingrained to believe that it's a massive overpayment, when with the salary cap going up and stuff, it's actually not going to be a massive overpayment. And then there's Raquel and Brian Rust sitting there at like $5.5-6 million a year. That's going to seem like pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, that's going to be like new fourth line numbers, line winger numbers as far as
yeah. It's going to be a huge reset this summer with cap increases and stuff like that.
But back to Ville Koivunen quick. I mean, dude, barring an injury or if he maybe just absolutely soils himself in the first couple of weeks of the season. I mean, dude, in Wilkes-Barre, he had in 62 games, he had 21 goals and 34 assists, so for 55 points. Clearly, he's a good disher, and he has the ability to score. I think if he has a good summer and takes it seriously and doesn't just squander it completely and party too much over there and wherever in Finland he's from, man, like this kid could be a player, big time player. I think the only conundrum you have next year is like, who is going to get to play with Sidney Crosby? There's only so many winger spots available. Rucker looked good with him. Koivunen's looked good with him. Raquel, and Russ just produce massively with the guy. It's going to be musical chairs to see who gets to play with Sid.
Well, I think Rust is a guarantee just because him and Russ have been together for so long and it clearly works. Even though Rust has had runs with Malkin where he's looked like an unstoppable force of nature. Again, Rust could be one of them dudes where it doesn't really matter who you put him with, as long as the guy can get him the puck, he's gonna produce. But I think Rust starts there at the very least, and then they can figure out the other winger, whether they try McGroarty, Koivunen, Raquel. But I think short of one of those other two guys looking like a superstar beside Crosby in spring training training camp, I think that you start it with Raquel again, and then just kind of play it by game from there to see how it all plays out.
Agreed. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. A lot of options, and if they're not on his line, you always can put them in on the power play. So yeah, dude, a lot of stuff to look forward to. Dude, just quickly before we move on too far from this game, if you're the Caps, are you worried about your play, like at all? Are you worried about heading into the playoffs being on the opposite of a heater, where you're giving up 3 to 5 goals a game? And
I'm probably not too concerned. I know they got completely pantsed by the Columbus Blue Jackets over the weekend. Yeah. Not sure what the effort level was overall, but I mean, the Capitals had everything locked up for more than a week now, whereas the Blue Jackets were literally playing for their lives. Those 2 games. But you have a good Montreal team that you have to deal with now. A young, hungry Montreal team with that Demidov, who is looking like an absolute freak every time he touches the puck. More hyped than Alex Ovechkin, from what we hear from the media in Canada. Brian Hayes, as Snail heard Brian Hayes hyping up. It's Ivan Demidov, right?
Ivan Demidov, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, hyping up. And he has he's looked every bit of the hype since in these 2 games he's played. He's been an absolute freak on the ice. Every time he touches the puck, it's must watch, must see TV. He's been absolutely fantastic. Montreal does lock up that playoff spot, and now Washington. I don't think there's there was no good matchup for anybody. It feels like every matchup is going to make someone uncomfortable in some way, shape, or form. And that Washington matchup, I think Washington, from a goaltending perspective, is probably the better team. But I mean, that place in Montreal is going to be absolutely rocking. And I think I'm going to pick Washington. But if Montreal makes them sweat a little bit, it should not surprise anyone.
I think the goaltending for me is the big separator for them, because I think they've gone back and forth with this Montembeault and Dobish, who's kind of been a nice little story for them. Defensively too, I don't know, they've got Lane Hudson, who just, I think, tied Larry Murphy for most points in a rookie season by a defenseman. Pretty unreal stat. But dude, Lane Hudson's 5'9" or something like that, and he's a water bug out there. The Caps have John Carlson, he's won a Norris, he's won a Stanley Cup. He's their number one D-man essentially. But then they've got Sandin, who's a smaller guy, but he plays bigger than he actually is. Not to mention that they're just laden with Tom Wilson's a 30 goal scorer this year, and he's Probert. He's Bob Probert with a modern goal scoring touch. I just don't know how the Habs can really match up for that. But like you said, there are other weird things like being in the, what is that place called? Is it called the
Bell Center?
The Bell Center. The Bell Center is going to be an unreal place to play for these young dudes. The crowd's definitely, the fans getting involved. That's definitely a home ice advantage thing for the Habs. I mean, Suzuki and Caulfield and Laine on the power play, that's all good and well. But Laine's on. I think that the Habs are going to get kind of crushed in this, but you never know. But looking at it, Washington should be the favorite, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. But vibes in Montreal.
yeah, they're definitely the vibes high team right now, the high vibes team. That is for certain. I think Washington, this feels like a great season and obviously deserved to get the position they're in. But you feel like if you're Washington, you have to empty the clip in this year, in this playoff run. This is it. This is, again, they'll be good next year, but are they going to be this good?
Are they guaranteed to be good next year, though?
I think they'll be a playoff team just based on some of the guys they're bringing back. I think they're going to be there. The goaltending is going to be fine. It's just, again, they got Chikrin locked up long term. They have a lot of nice young pieces there. I'm not really concerned they're just going to fall off the face of the earth. But this was everything went right this year. So you kind of, this is going to be your best opportunity to get Ovechkin that second cup. So you're going to go and basically empty the clip as we enter the playoffs here. So they're going to be desperate. I'd say they're probably maybe the most desperate in the East, just because of the circumstances surrounding them. The second most desperate. I'd say that Toronto's probably the most desperate just because they're Toronto and all the pressure that comes with that. But for Washington, this is Ovechkin's. Ovechkin's not getting any younger. He's just they're gonna have to unload that clip and hope that they can knock off this Montreal team, because Carolina could be waiting, and that could be an absolute dandy of a second round series as well. Those two teams don't like each other, and it could be an absolutely fantastic series. Should we get it? Obviously. But I think if you're on paper that Washington has the harder of the two first round matchups, We've kind of said this a couple times now that Jersey has just been, kind of fallen off the face of the earth there a little bit with injuries and stuff.
They're a non-factor in the playoffs. It's actually kind of disappointing that they're in because, come on.
Yeah, I'm more disappointed they're not healthy. I just wish because that Carolina, New Jersey series, if those two teams healthy, could be
that would be a good series.
Yeah,
that would be a great series.
Jack Johnson and some of the names there.
Jack Johnson, you mean Jack Hughes?
Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier,
Jack Johnson, the defenseman, former.
Yeah, Jack Johnson. Yeah. Jesper Bratt. That would be highly entertaining, but unfortunately, we won't get that, especially now that Hughes is sidelined until next season. But Carolina's loaded.
Oh, what? You're not excited to watch Daniel Sprong and Cody Glass replace Jack Hughes?
I literally might watch 10 minutes of that entire series.
Yeah, I might not even watch.
If it was a second round series where the number of games are much reduced, yeah, sure. But there's too much other intrigue in literally every series that, literally every series has a great storyline. You have the Battle of Ontario, Montreal versus the veteran-laden Capitals, Toronto. The Battle of Florida. Winnipeg just being as good as they are.
The Shen brothers going at it.
Yeah.
Colorado Dallas
is going to be an absolute.
That is really good because they both could win the Stanley Cup, but this season played out like a drama TV show with Rantanen's trade, and that's just, you couldn't have asked for a better.
That's going to be like a steel cage match.
Yes.
L.A. Edmonton Part 4. The Red Hot. No, that's Winnipeg, but a healthy Wild against a good Vegas team. The Wild were one of the best teams in the NHL until they were decimated by injuries.
And then they came back. And it looked like they never missed a beat. Eriksson Ek had a 4-goal game.
Yeah, and Eriksson Ek basically saved their playoff lives. He scored with 20 seconds left to guarantee them a playoff spot. And then the vibes of bringing Marc-Andre Fleury in for that overtime
against Vegas,
against
Fleury versus
Anaheim.
Or no, I just meant sorry.
Oh yeah, that's not gonna. He's obviously not gonna. If he's playing, then Gustafson's a complete egg. He's just completely useless.
What better guy though? If one guy's a gas.
Gosh, would that be so funny if Marc-Andre Fleury came in and just completely wiped out the Vegas Golden Knights? That'd be so funny.
Pulled a 2017 Cup run type thing where the starting goal then Fleury has to save the day.
But yeah, it is Thursday evening as we record this. You guys will listen to it on Friday. If Snail's available on Friday night, I'd like to sit down and do our playoff preview and picks.
I'll have to check. I'll have to see what's going on tomorrow.
If not, maybe Saturday.
Yeah,
we can do something. Get our brackets completed.
Actually, yeah, I should be available tomorrow around our normal recording time. Yeah.
What's normal recording time for us?
Our normal recording time? Oh, because I guess there is two different ones. There's
Are we talking after game recording time, or are we talking after work recording time?
2:30 my time recording time.
I don't know if I can do 2:30 your time. That's not my time.
Maybe actually, yeah. No, I think either way it should work. We'll talk.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. We're not. Yeah, we don't need to plan that on the live podcast. No, we will do a playoff preview / picks. Release the brackets, our own brackets. But as for the Penguins, they end this season with a record of 34, 36, and 12. It was a season. It was
a season.
It was, there's so many next week. I think next week, sit down and really dive into the season and try to remember some of the moments. There was obviously the bad start. And then there was the run between Thanksgiving and Christmas that kind of pulled them back into it.
The Tomasino effect.
Yeah, the Phil Tomasino effect. And then the drop off again and kind of the realization that, okay, they're not actually that good. But your Crosby storylines, your Raquel, Rust. Where do we go from here? What's going to happen this summer?
Did Ned start this game again?
Yeah, Ned did get the start here, which I thought was really funny. It's like the only game he started in April after starting like literally every game in April last year.
Yeah,
it was
funny.
really funny.
2 years in a row, he starts the final game.
So I'll ask you one question before we wrap this up.
All right, shoot.
Is Mike Sullivan the coach next year?
Oh, I don't like this question. Is Mike Sullivan the coach? I'm going to say... Oh, yeah, I'm going to say yeah, just to play it safe, because...
Yeah, I just feel like...
I don't... Yeah. I actually... It would be ironic that this year, that going into next year, I'm actually like... He's shown that he can, like... You know, he's not pulling a torch, and he's actually kind of able to like coach a team with young guys on it. He's giving like seeing Koivunen and Rutger, and dude, our boy Sam Poulin played today. I don't think we talked about that.
I saw that emergency call up. I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be something.
Yeah, but I've seen Sullivan able to kind of change his game, you might call it, his coaching style, to be able to kind of be sort of a teacher in a way. And next year I'm actually okay with him being the coach. It would just be so poetic or ironic, whatever one you want to use, that they fire him this offseason and then he doesn't come back and they hire like David Quinn to be like the head coach or something. God.
If they're hiring David Quinn,
that's McKenna territory.
That is your goal has to be a full on, like, you're going to be the worst team in hockey is the goal there.
What if they hire Torts?
I think that's done. I think he's done.
You think so?
I think
he'll get a shot.
Oh, man, I
wouldn't be surprised if Sullivan's coaching next year and they need an assistant. I wouldn't be surprised if Torts is in Pittsburgh.
Assistant coach would not shock. Assistant coach would not shock me. A head coach next season, unless somebody would get fired like in November, I don't see him on a bench as a head coach at the beginning of next season anyway. Now, if somebody gets fired in November, December, then that's a completely different story, because you know that if that happens, that they're just going to retread one of the old boys clubs guys, and it's going to be Torts will be there, probably will be one of the first names mentioned. But as an assistant coach, I would not hate him as an assistant coach.
No, I wouldn't either. What if Sullivan got fired? What if you had Tocchet and Torts?
I don't know if those two could work together.
You really? Yeah, maybe they could. They just like are boxing in the.
No, like if they would be like, "Hey, we'll take Tocchet 100%." Like I take that immediately. But I don't know if.
Would you take Tocchet, Gonchar, and who's that guy? God, who was the Colorado Avalanche defenseman with the huge schnoz, and his son played in the NHL for a little bit?
Adam Foote?
Yes, Footer. That's like pretty much the Vancouver coaching staff. Would you take Gonchar, Adam Foote, and Tocchet as your coaching staff?
I wouldn't hate it. I didn't realize Foote was in Vancouver though.
He was.
He was, or he is.
Or is he is in Vancouver?
Yeah.
At least I think so. I've seen him behind the bench. Like
yeah, I mean he could well be. I don't pay attention to every team. I don't really clock who all the assistant coaches are. I
just know they hired Gonchar, and I was like, what a big hire.
He does have a big nose though.
Yeah,
I think it's been broken like probably 80 times.
That's why it's so big. It's calloused.
Yeah.
But what about you? Do you see Sullivan staying as the head coach?
Yeah, there hasn't been any noise at all. Like
that's what made me start wondering.
Like if they would have, it was weird because like after the Four Nations, all that kind of just went away. Like there was no even rumor mill from anyone. None of the Pittsburgh beat guys, none of the national guys. It was complete radio silence, and I think he's gonna come back. I really, and if you give him the players, he can coach. Like anybody would have struggled to coach the team at the beginning of the season, I think. And a lot of the stuff, like I understand getting mad at like some of the quotes were like, it's just the same coach bullshit that you hear from everyone, and that gets annoying, especially when Sullivan never really fell for the cliche garbage that you hear But again, when you're struggling like that, sometimes the cliche is just the best thing to go with because you really don't have anything. Like you can't go in front of the mic and just start like name dropping dudes that you'd rather fight than play.
Right. Or like you can't go full like Pat Quinn.
No, it's not going to work.
Or Tortorella.
Yeah, Torts can do that too, and that's my biggest fear with what would be bringing Torts in as a head coach. It's Koivunen and McGroarty. Like you can't do that to them. You can't do that at all. But no, I think Sullivan's back. I would be shocked if he was let go at this point, just because there's just no inkling, no kind of like Mike Sullivan. This April schedule is for his job kind of thing. I don't see that at all. I didn't hear anything like that. So my belief is he is coming back, and I think I'm fine with it. I don't want to get into a remixing, like I said, remixing the old boys club and just grabbing one of those guys. Dubas is the kind of guy that would maybe go with a outside the box kind of forward thinking hire, but I think he likes Sullivan. Personally, I think they get along, and I think he's willing to keep rolling with it. As much as people may not like that, I just think that's what they're going to do personally. That's my thinking as we sit here after game 82.
But like, yeah, I agree with you. But because of that radio silence, I know it's probably because of the confidence he instilled from the Four Nations tournament. But like, doesn't the radio silence as far as chatter about him not coaching anymore, does that almost like kind of make you like almost worried? Like, dang, maybe this is like a bad sign. It's like, before like a big like natural disaster in movies, like the whole earth is like all quiet and like birds stop chirping and stuff.
No, I really, to me, it's just like, oh, that rumor just went away. Like, it just, again, the play was better after the initial shock of the season, but overall, I'm not too concerned about not hearing anything regarding Mike Sullivan.
We should have this summer. We'll get into it, but I still stand by my. I think that if the Penguins move on from Sullivan, I'd like a former Penguins player to be a coach. Like, let's just say next year the Penguins go like, let's say they lose their first 10 and they're just like, it's a nightmare. Gas Sullivan and hire like Matt Cook.
Oh gosh, that would be, yeah. I don't know where Matt Cook's at now. He was coaching.
Matt Cook was coaching in the ECHL, the team that's no longer there on that. What's that weird province that like used to be a country? Newfoundland?
Yeah.
He was a coach for like the Newfoundland Greyhounds or something like that.
Yeah, and then they just folded like randomly in the middle of the season. I haven't heard anything about him since.
Yeah, I'll look up quick because he played in the NHL for what, like 16 seasons or something like that.
He was there a long time. Did you see that Trevor Daley's son was drafted by the Sioux Greyhound?
That's a direct pipeline to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, there's no way Dubas didn't call that in. I mean, him and Daley were probably sitting in his office being like, here, watch this, and just called to Sault Ste. Marie and was just like, hey, you got to draft this kid.
Probably. Dubas probably drove him there.
Yeah. But yeah,
that's pretty sweet. That's a direct pipeline. He'll be in Pittsburgh in 5 years.
He will be in Pittsburgh in 5 years. Yeah, absolutely. He might even get drafted this year. I don't know how old this kid is. The fact that Trevor Daley has a kid playing junior all is terrifying enough.
I know. How old are we?
Yeah, because Trevor Daley was like playing in Pittsburgh like 5 years ago. It feels like, I know it was before that, but like,
yeah, but it does. I mean, he's been in it's not like he ever really left. Like he's in the organization.
Yeah, it just feels like Trevor Daley feels like a lifelong Penguin. Like he just kind of feels like
great player for the Penguins. Like one of like the better pickup acquisitions.
I actually thought they were boned in 2016 when he went down when he broke his leg. I really thought they were screwed.
Yeah, I think I did too.
But he made up for it next year when Letang went down. He was one of their most important players. But
yeah, he was like the guy on the power play.
Rob Scuderi, baby.
Scuds
for Daley. What a trade.
one of the better ones. Maybe this summer we'll do an episode just like let's just go
we
over
can
like
absolutely
we'll go over like our
trades.
favorite trades, and we should even go in like be even more nerdier, like by like regime of like GM.
Oh, we can absolutely get
I could spend a week doing that like kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
So yeah, as far as like this game went, the Penguins wrap it up. I feel like this was a great game though. Like I like seeing them beat the Caps. I think this is the first time Ovi scored on them this season, which is crazy because he was on an absolute heater. He scored a bazillion goals this year.
And I will say they honored him in the first period, and the whole arena was chanting Ovi, and college me would be completely losing his mind.
Dude, part of me was like a little disgusted.
Like if you would have told me when I was in college that in 2025 the PPG Paints Arena would be chanting Ovechkin's name, I would have thought that the Capitals were just doing anything to get him a cup, and they traded him to the Penguins. That was what I never in a million years would have thought that he would have been chanted as his name chanted as an opponent. Like that is. College me would be completely mind blown.
Did they show much of Ovi's reaction when they were doing that?
I didn't see anything, but they did gift him a Rolex after the game. So
a Rolex?
Yeah, I think it's a Rolex. Yeah, Crosby and Malkin. There's a picture of him and Crosby and Malkin with the Rolex.
It has poison on the inside of it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, hell of a game, honestly. Kind of a nice game to watch on the end of the season, at the end of the year here to close it out. But, man, on to bigger and better things. It'll be a crazy offseason. It'll be at least an interesting offseason. Maybe crazy is a little bit strong. Next year, I think that we're saying it again, I'm saying it again, there is playoff hopes next year. Sid's another year older. And I think the biggest thing that we're going to get to, and I'm going to save this for tomorrow or Saturday, whenever we end up recording, I have an update on the package.
Oh, okay.
But I won't spill it yet.
You guys have to tune in to the playoff preview episode for an update on the mystery package. Well, not mystery, we know what it is. But Snail's
whereabouts of this package.
The whereabouts of the missing package. This has been a greater saga than the Penguins season. At this point, has been Snail's package. Don't make any jokes out of that.
That flew over my head.
Yeah. It hit me like after the word came out of my mouth. You have to tune in to see our picks, our predictions for the playoffs, and the update on the missing parcel.
UPS parcel
that Snail had been waiting for maybe 3 weeks.
Month.
Yeah.
This point, 17th. It's been over a month.
Oh wow. Okay. Holy crap. I would have, like I said, I would have been fomenting war against this company at this point.
Oh, it got close.
But I don't really have anything else about this game. The Penguins win 5-2. A bunch of career highs set tonight. Raquel gets there. Russ gets 31 goals. Raquel sets new career high in points. Crosby gets to 90. Grzelcyk gets to 40 points, which is astonishing, to be honest. Tomasino gets back in the score sheet. And that is game 82. That is the end of the Penguin season, remarkably. We'll deep dive more next week into the Penguins, but before that, we're going to talk playoff hockey in our next episode. So
because it starts Saturday. We got 2 games on Saturday.
The playoff schedule is very stupid to start. 2 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, I believe 4 Monday, and then the Tampa Bay Florida series does not begin until Tuesday.
Dude, I feel like they have one series like that every year.
Yeah, it does. And there is one game between Vegas and Minnesota that is starting at 11 o'clock Eastern time.
11 o'clock Eastern?
Yeah, 8 o'clock your time. Like, think about that. That's crazy.
There's maybe one 8 o'clock game a year that's on out here. It's usually because of like implications with like maybe like football or something like that.
Yeah, but no, we have one. There's one game starting at 11 o'clock Eastern time.
One day the NHL will have the balls to just nail a good schedule for playoffs and regular season. It'll happen one year.
What they should do, and they'll never do this, because of the way they schedule the playoffs. The first game of the first opening night, all 8 series should be playing in game 1, and then just give like the next day, just do everybody's off, and then just start your every other day. But 8 games to open the playoffs. Started at noon and go to like 10 o'clock. Make it
staggered start times too.
Make it a whole like. I think there's no better way to start the playoffs than do that. I think that'd be so much fun.
That'd be a dream. What did is it called the Frozen Frenzy when they do that?
Yeah.
Do a Frozen Frenzy for the first round of the first game of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Have just like all the staggered start times, and you just work up an absolute lather in your armchair.
Yeah, do it on a Saturday, take Sunday off, and then on Monday just get back to your 4 games, and then Tuesday 4, and then rotate. That way, I think that's the best way. That'd be very exciting.
You should pitch that to Gary Bettman.
I will. I'll email him tonight.
He should have your contacts. I mean, we are esteemed members.
We are the esteemed members of the podcast sphere. So
no, we're the media, man.
We are the media. But do you have anything?
No, Robbie. Let's get out of here, and we'll resume our chats post Penguins season. Hell of a year, a lot of ups and downs, but it's playoff time, baby, and it's time to start. It's time to watch hockey games with no ties to these teams and just enjoy the chaos.
I'm all down for that. Absolutely down for that. So, yeah, Penguins win 5-2 to close out the season. Next up is offseason content and playoff content. So, stick around for that. But for Snail, I'm Robbie. We'll talk to you guys in the next few days.